Hey everyone! For those of you who don't know me, my name is Elizabeth and this is Awakened Spirit. Today I wanted to get into working with the moon phases and creating moon magic. We are coming up to the Gemini new moon, so I thought now would be the perfect time to start talking about how you can manifest using the moon and also creating magic in general with the moon. So let's get into it. So working with the cycles of the moon can be an extremely potent way to add an additional layer of power and magic ultimately to your life. So whether it be everyday magic for health and well-being, or going into really in-depth spells to draw in love or money as examples. So I'm going to briefly go over the phases of the moon. I have done a blog post on this which is a little bit more in depth, so I will link that one down below, and this is just a quick rundown of the phases so that way you can see the structure of creating the magic. Okay, so first we have the new moon. And this is when you would be planting the seeds or making the lists and setting the intention for the cycle ahead. It's the beginning of the moon cycle. A moon cycle lasts for 28 days, and the new moon, contrary to popular belief, it is actually when there is a tiny slither of the moon in the sky, not when there's completely no moon. Next we have the waxing crescent moon, and this is when you start putting things into action. You explore the options that you have and how to make things work and start actively working towards the goal. Next we will have the first quarter moon, and this is when more than likely your commitment is going to be tested to your goals. So this is the time that you're going to really see if it's what you still truly want, if the goal or the magic that you're trying to create is really what you want to continue with. It's going to be when you need to either let go if you have realised it's actually not what you want to draw in, or if it's not something that's suited for you, or you really make the commitment to continue moving forward. Okay, next, everyone's favourite, the full moon. So this is when your results will be seen. It's when you will be manifesting your reality, and it's the accumulation of what's happened and begun at the new moon. So it's about 14 to 15 days after the new moon, and this is, if it's a short-term goal or a short-term spell that you've created, for example, this is when you're going to start seeing the results. And if you don't see the results, this is the time where you need to forgive yourself if things haven't gone the way that they were planned, and also it's going to really help to illuminate the potential setbacks if you actually are working on a long-term goal. So next we have the disseminating moon, and this is the time to relax and celebrate, really. If your goal was achieved, if your magic was achieved at the time of the full moon, this is when you would be celebrating. So this is just after the full moon, and this is the time that you really do need to get out and have fun and pat yourself on the back in that regard, and also to review and reflect on what did or didn't work with your goals as well. Then we move on to the third quarter moon. This is probably one of the most difficult times of the moon phases because it is very much a crossroads, so you are going to find that there's probably going to be a little bit of conflict that arises during this time. It's quite likely that if something didn't work out for you, this is when you're going to have a lot of those doubts come in, and this is when you're going to doubt yourself, doubt magic, doubt everything in general. You may also find that you have conflicts with other people as well, especially in regards to the magic or goals that you've been working on. It's also a really good time to to accept what's happened as well. This is all about acceptance during this moon, and that's why it's one of the most complicated and hardest ones, because it's really quite hard for us to accept. If things worked out, it's easy for us to accept that. If things didn't work out, it's quite hard to accept that we've failed ultimately. So it's a good time to also, like the disseminating moon, to reflect and review and see what's worked and what hasn't, and to work through the emotions as well. So if you do have a lot of conflict arising, it's understanding that this conflict is actually going to be able to provide you insight as to why things went wrong. Next we have the balsamic moon, and this is the healing phase of the moon. So this is after we've gone through the acceptance, we've gone through the celebration if things have worked out, and this is the time to heal. So if things didn't work out the way that you want, this is the time that you need to start doing some internal healing, maybe do some self-care as well. If things did work out and you did achieve your goal or the magic that you've created, this is the time to replenish your energy and, you know, rest and retreat. And finally, not everyone mentions this phase, but I like to, because I do find it is an extremely powerful phase of the moon to work with, and that's the dark moon. The dark moon is usually about 48 hours to 72 hours before the new moon, and it is exactly that. It's when there's no moon that's visible in the sky at all. And the dark moon is a perfect time to do no action. It's all about self-reflection, and it's the perfect time to completely let go of things. This is the time to surrender. And if you're working on removing things from your life, this is the perfect time to do it during the dark moon. So banishing energy is really, really beneficial at this point in time in order to prepare for the new moon that comes from that. So I want to talk about the star signs, because the star signs are also extremely powerful to work with when working with the phases of the moon. As the moon goes through its phases, the moon is also moving through into different star signs. And it's roughly every 2 to 3 days that the moon will move into a new star sign. And though I do believe that this does need its own video and its own in-depth explanation, I'm just going to briefly go over it now so you can understand why I feel that this is extremely powerful. When we work with moon phases, more often than not, most people generally work with the new moon and the full moon. And we often know, that the new moon is in a particular star sign, or the full moon being in a particular star sign, so we work with the energy from that star sign. So if you were to say to do a love spell, for example, working with the moon when she's in the sign of Libra, who is also ruled by Venus, is actually really beneficial, because there's a lot of that love energy there. And this doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a love spell with a partner. It could be a self-love spell as well. So working with a star sign that encompasses the kind of energy that you're trying to create is going to add that little bit of extra oomph to your magic. So to narrow that down more, let's say you wanted to let go of an old relationship. You do this when the moon phase is in the waning phase, or the dark of the moon, which is suited to banishing. So the waning phase is after the full moon, that whole period after the full moon. And if you're trying to bring love in, for example, the new moon and the waxing moon are really good because they're drawing the energy to you. It's building momentum. So the same can be applied to all kinds of activities. Money drawing, you could do it in an earth sign like Taurus. You get the idea. So to give you a quick guide on working with the star signs and the intent of the kind of magic that you could do, I just want to go over it just really briefly. And I'm going to break it down into the elemental signs for you as well. So earth signs, which is Capricorn, Taurus and Virgo, are good grounding energies. Material objects, the everyday life and routines. So for example, diet or exercise routines. Air signs, and that is Aquarius, Gemini and Libra. So these are really good for communication energy and matters of the mind. So study or communication in relationships, for example. Social activities as well. fire signs, which is Aries, Leo and Sagittarius. They are good creative and motivational drive energies. So you could begin new creative projects or inject some passion and drive into your magic at this point in time. Finally, we have water signs. So that's Pisces, Cancer and Scorpio. And these are your emotions. This is really good emotional energy. So dealing with emotional reflection, self-worth, letting things go. You can also work with love at this time as well. You know, working with anything that is in that emotional energy. The individual star signs are going to also bring a deeper layer to that as well. So having a look at the moon phase and what star sign it's in, and understanding the energies of that star sign and what encompasses that star sign is going to be highly beneficial to add that extra dose of magic to. So the moon can be looked to for all kinds of things. So when to plant your garden, when to harvest the garden. This is called moon gardening and it's been practiced for a very, very long time. A lot of farmers to this day still do follow this moon gardening process as well. You know, you can look at the best days to clean your house or clean other things in general, or to have surgery. You know, there's multiple aspects of working with the moon phases and with astrology in general that you can use. And things like star signs, retrograde, planetary alignments, you know, they all come into this as well. And I have done a crash course in astrology, so on a blog, so I will link that one down below as well. So ultimately, I do say when working with magic or manifesting goals in general, really just trust your intuition and don't feel like you can't do something until it's the right time in the sky. Magical workings and manifestation of dreams can be begun at any time. It's all about the intention and, you know, what goes into that. So it's not always about the perfect timing according to the stars. This is just deeper layers that can be added when you want a little bit of an extra kick or a little bit of more depth to your magic as well. So don't feel like you have to wait 6 months until the moon is in a particular, the new moon or the full moon is in a particular star sign to create something. If you want to create something, you know, do it when it feels right for you. So I hope you have enjoyed this post. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button below to stay up to date with all of the latest tarot readings that I do and all the how-tos. I'm doing a lot of how-tos and instructional videos of working with the energies, and this is going to be included in my series on witchcraft and Wicca because I do incorporate a lot of moon magic into my practice as well. So thank you very much for watching and I'll see you all next time. Bye!